All right. My name is Augustine Aghaeze. Just prior to, if we do background prior to incarceration, uh, I attended college. I was a kid that had good grades in school. Wasn't actively doing criminal things, but
Hmm.
was around it. So the opportunity was available, uh, and as time went, things went wrong. Obviously, got incarcerated, and so I just went through a different series of events. But today I'm able to say that in spite of all that, I overcame it. I'm able to be here today. Uh, some achievements in regards to accomplishing school, able to get great employment after, and functioning civilian today versus any other type of identity that I could associate with.
Thank you for that.
Can you
Hello, we
hear me?
have Emeka Walker from Tyler. Yes, we have Emeka Walker from Tyler, Texas. Hello. So everybody, wherever you are, why don't you give everyone a shout out? Let us know you're here and what state you're from and what city you're calling. Biggest challenges that you faced since incarceration in terms of just trying to get a career or be able to start one or even just finding a job.
Well, I mean, you would think that once each individual spends his time, whether in whatever institution it is, that society will view them as someone that has paid their debt, that shouldn't be bound upon their release of imprisonment of whatever their circumstances are. But there are there are a lot of challenges because though you may have paid, society never forgets the events that you interacted in, the events that the judicial system has labeled you as. And so there's a lot of challenges. A lot of companies, for example, you know, there's a question on every application. Have you been charged with a felony? I mean, that's a typical question
Mhm.
that transpires throughout, our society. And individuals like myself that have been incarcerated, or individuals that actually have felonies that are attached to their name that they're not able to get away from, have difficulties getting employment because of that alone. Though you may have been rehabilitated, though you may have overcame any type of obstacle or changed your way of thinking from an adolescent mindset, society still view you as that individual that was in that courtroom, that individual that was in that prison. So the challenge is very big. A lot of the times, for me, upon my release, I remember a situation that I can recall vividly. I remember going into an office telling an employer that I'll work for free for 3 months after they was like, we didn't want to hire you because of your
Wow.
past. And so I just threw it out there. I was like, I'll work for 3 months for free. Just give me an opportunity. Don't judge me based on my past. Judge me on the man that's before you. It's working out, actually. They actually did that. But he paid me. He didn't let me work for free. And so the opportunity from a grant perspective is very limited for individuals that have been incarcerated. So you have to, what I learned, create your own lane, whatever it is, whatever you're good at, whatever you determined, passionate about. I pushed myself and created a lane for myself through my determination. And that alone allowed something to open up for me.
So, everyone, I don't know if for those who just came on, the question that I asked Augustine was, what are some of the biggest challenges that he faced after incarceration? And one of the things that he just mentioned was the fact that it was a lot of judgment and biases. And please, if you know anyone who has been incarcerated, and you're asking, you want to know some questions, please feel free. This is the time to ask questions without judgment, because we are all new to this. And what he said was key, was that he created his own lane. He said, "Hey, I'll work for free." So Augustine, I want to follow up on that. After you worked there and they paid you, how could you tell that their perception of you changed?
Well, it came with time. I honestly feel that, my boss in particular did not judge me on the information that he was aware of. Uh, but you got to understand, when you have a past, it comes with judgment. And as a result of that thought, that knowing was always in the back of my head. I always knew that he knew my truth. So in spite of, what I wanted him to do, as far as like, just don't judge me, don't view me this particular way, just judge me strictly on my work, I all knew that I had to work a little harder than the average guy, because he knew my he knew what kind of bones I had in my closet, so to speak. And so I always, every day, I would work harder than I would have at any other situation, because
Got it.
I come from a circumstance while being incarcerated where the opportunity for employment is there, but you don't get compensated for. You work way more hours than an average 9 to 5. You work harder than any individual in a 9 to 5, and you don't get compensated for it. So it's like, any individual that's been incarcerated possesses a determination that a lot of people, as we identify as in the free world, may not have, because you so used to being driven or pushed like an animal. And as sad as that may sound, it's a truth. You so used to being pushed like an animal to produce, that if any type of compensation. So when the opportunity presents itself where you're able to get compensated, you're able to be appreciated. A lot of people in my past, in my situations, like advantage of that. And so I would say that.
Okay. Thank you for that. Just want to welcome Natasha Holland from Alabama, Borma Aghaeze from Tyler, Texas,
What's up?
Linda Aghaeze from Maryland, Jomo Maple from Maryland, Xavier and Jalen from Maryland. Thank you guys for joining us today. Again, if you have any questions that you want to type into chat that you'd like Augustine to answer, please feel free to do so at any moment. All right, so the next thing is, how did you go about finding a job after confinement?
Well, I had two lanes that I took. My parole officer at the time had a list of opportunities. No guarantees, but employers that reached out for certain crimes, certain individuals that were incarcerated. Your crime basically determined your opportunity. So the more extreme the crime, the less likely you probably would be getting employment. My crimes were pretty extreme, but my parole officer, she gave me a list of employers that were seeking individuals like myself. And one particular employer, as I stated previously, was the gentleman that I told him I worked free for 3 months because of the severity of my crime. He didn't want to touch me. But I sat there and pleaded with him, expressed to him the state of mind that I was in as a child, how that child no longer lives in me, that child no longer exists. So don't judge me based on that child. Judge me based on the man that's before you, that's determined and wants something different out of life. Uh, so that list of employers were given to me by my parole officer, and word of mouth. I would talk to people that had experienced things like me, or had people that were in their family, friends, and they understood the circumstances, the challenges, and they pretty much gave me references of companies that were potentially hiring, and we went that route. But ultimately, I got employed by a list of people that was my parole officer.
But you said something that I think is interesting. So my next question is going to be full disclosure, everybody. Augustine and I have been working on questions, so I have a list of questions, and as we deviate from that, just bear with us. But what about I remember when you first came out, and you let me know, because this is where things could get complicated. I call it like the poor man ticket. People get out of confinement, and either they have like parking tickets that they haven't paid off, or they and in some states, if you have those type of things, you can't get a driver's license. How
Right.
we think we say, hey, get a driver's license, that's not that difficult. But how challenging, or the mindset that you had to have when you got out to even just go get a driver's license, that other people probably couldn't even get?
It was actually, in my situation, funny because being gone for a time, some people think that you forget how to drive, but I didn't. I went and took my test, and luckily for me, I didn't have any past hiccups that prevented me from getting my license without any type of delays. I was able to go into the DMV, submit my proper paperwork, then take my test. After that, do my written test. Do the driving test. So, me personally, I didn't have any challenges because I didn't possess any type of hindrances pre-incarceration in regards to my license. I didn't have any outstanding tickets that would have prevented me from my license being suspended. I didn't have those challenges. I think the biggest challenge with me was parallel parking. As crazy as that may have sound, but that was very much so easy. So for me, I didn't have those challenges, but individuals do. You have guys that experience tickets or in a particular crime that would hinder them from obtaining a license upon their release. Circumstances like that become challenging because as a parolee, as they identify the individual, or probationer, you are required to find a way to get to your job. You are required to find a way to get to your parole officer or probation officer. These are obligations that you are conditioned to do upon your release. Knowing this, if you don't have that particular access to any type of mobile, or to be able to be mobile of any sort, you are held liable for that. They're not going to sympathize with you because you can't get down into this building because you don't have a ride. So it's a lot of variables that they don't take in consideration. It's just more so like, you release, we allowed you to be released, and you need to figure this stuff out. And if you don't figure it out, we will penalize you for it. And so a lot of individuals have challenges upon their release as far as their license, getting Social Security cards, just a lot of stuff because prior to incarceration, they made a lot of mistakes potentially.
I was even thinking the fact of just having a place to stay, right?
Well, that's difficult because, yeah, yeah, that can be difficult because, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that, if you are incarcerated, one, in a different state than where your family is, or two, by the time you get out, there's no one there. You're just trying to make ends meet. And three, if they are in an environment where you're not going to even be successful because they're living below poverty or at poverty level. Right.
Correct. So, like for me, I got like you normally see, when you come out of jail, once again, you're talking about this application process that they limit you to. So normally, an individual come out of jail, you try to get a place of residency. Let's say you're trying to get an apartment. They the same question on application, which we all are very much so familiar with. Have you committed a felony?
Oh, I
A
didn't know
felony?
that.
Are you a felon?
On the application
Yeah,
for an
a
apartment?
lot of
I didn't know that.
absolutely apartments. A lot of that stuff. Because these property owners, property managers who's overseeing these properties, they want to know what type of individuals in there. So a lot of the times, you said what?
Nothing.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of the times, you're limited to that. My situation in particular, a place that I was trying to get into, I got denied several times. I would have to present information in regards to on the application once they did the background check and are able to see the severity of the crime or then they make their judgment on if they're going to allow you to obtain residency or not. And a lot of them, they'll tell you through the door, we're not compromising. We're gonna handle our business this way. And here you are in this situation. Like, what do you do at that moment when you know that you once again don't possess that same mindset? Once again, you're not entertaining that type of lifestyle. You're trying to move on. You're trying to progress. You change. And here's this roadblock. What do you do? And me particularly, I just moved on to the next place. I just kept going until somebody says yes. I was content with getting that 50 no's and getting that one yes because I felt like there's one person that's going to eventually give me that yes, which they did.
Yeah, but where do you get that
so that becomes a
mindset
challenge.
from? Yeah, so where does that mindset? I mean, that's not something, right? Is that your faith? Is that your DNA? I mean, where does that type of, because that's difficult, right? I got to go through. I mean, it's being difficult even without having been incarcerated, where someone tells you no 25 times. But just to have that background, how do you get that, and how can you help people understand how to get that, possess that, or even move in that direction to have that type of mindset?
I personally came to a realization that, when you're incarcerated, man, you do so much for free. You do so much and don't get any type of appreciation. You do so much, and while you're doing good, people are still talking negative towards you. The idea that you will be praised or thanked did not exist behind that razor wire. It just didn't. And the individuals that may have thanked you would immediately shot down or correct it. You don't build inmates or offenders up in that manner. The mindset that they possess to continuously keep you down is an active. It's an energy that's thriving within that razor wire. So that experience alone, if you've experienced anything like that alone, it just created something in me. Like, I did all this time, all this for nothing, but I got a lesson out of it. If I'm able to do all this and don't get no praise, I'm able to do all this, still get talked to negatively the entire time. I'm able to do all this, and the only person benefiting is the very person that's put me down. Yeah. Release. When I get an opportunity to do something for myself, to do something for those that love me, to do something for those that are around me in my social circle, that alone was motivational enough. That experience of not being appreciated, talked to negatively, was the trigger. because it's like if you don't position yourself to try to get something, if you don't position yourself to try to be beneficial, then 9 times out of 10, those individuals are part of the recidivism rate. They will return back to prison because you haven't supplemented that with something positive. And so for me, that's what it was. I didn't want to go back, and I just, within me, I possessed the determination that reminded me of everything that I did for free, everything that I did underappreciated, and I wasn't going to experience that no more. I was going to get appreciated for my work. I was going to appreciate my own work because I was being appreciated, and that was the route that I was going.
Okay. Now, a lot of people don't know this. Before Augustine was incarcerated, he was actually in school about to get his degree. You was getting your degree in marketing, correct?
Oh,
okay.
Correct, and I was a senior.
And he was a senior. So tell us, what is your status now, and if you're still going towards that career choice, and if not, what made you change your mind?
Correct. Upon my release, a program particularly that I got in was with construction, because I was fortunate to experience a lot of that throughout the duration of my imprisonment. And so basically, when I got out, they had a program that allowed you to get your associate's degree in construction through the apprenticeship program that I participated in. So I did that. I was able to get my associate's degree in construction management that I'm currently in possession of. Also, in regards to my bachelor's degree that was in marketing, I haven't finished it. I have like 3 clusters left, give or take. I just didn't position myself to take that particular route at that moment. At this moment, I went ahead and got my associate's degree, something that would catapult me into my career in construction, and I went that route. But yeah, I was a senior in college, and it just goes back to the system, and I was a senior in college. I had a lot of productive stuff going on in my lifestyle, and none of that mattered to the system. And we have to understand that the system is designed for itself. It's a system designed to be a system. It's a machine that's operating accordingly to those that are orchestrating. And their objective was to put me in a cell. They had a bunk with my name on it, and little did I know, and they put me in it. So that was the route that I chose to take.
How often, because you hear people like they find God when they go to prison, and then once they get out, it's no longer as critical in their lives anymore. How did faith play for you, while incarcerated, and more importantly after release, or even before going into it, just before, during, and after? How has your faith played into that for you?
I mean, my faith grew tremendously. They teach us. The word teaches us to have faith of a mustard seed. And if those that don't know, that are tuning in, a mustard seed is so small. It's like that big, and so just the idea or the knowing to have a little bit will take you far. Prior to my incarceration, I had faith in God. I trust in God. I was raised to believe in God. And clearly I got caught up in things that were entertaining to my flesh, things that I found fun, whether criminally or not. And so I kind of had a foundation mom gave me prior to my incarceration. Going in a prison, going into an environment like that, it is critical to believe in something. A lot of times individuals believe in games, which is more prevalent, which is more controlling. But putting yourself in a position to believe in God, to have a faith in something, it gives you a sense of peace. Not on the surface, clearly, because there's so much chaos that's transpiring. There's so much that's going on that's forcing you to keep your head on the swivel. There's so much that you have to pay attention to. And, so peace or comfort or anything to that similarity doesn't really exist on the surface while you are in those type of environments. So the faith that I had, it carried me a long way because I knew, in spite of what's going on right now, in spite of my circumstances, in spite of how I may feel, in spite of how things may look, I know that something good is going to come out of this. I know that I'm going to overcome. And that's what I kind of thrived on. So I just put in my mindset, I never allow myself to get comfortable. You have people regularly, they'll fix their cell up or their assigned area up with memorabilia or things that would help them throughout their time, which is cool for certain individuals. Me particularly, I could not entertain that. I could not partake in that in any fashion. I was in an environment that was so foreign to me that I would not allow myself any level of comfortability. I didn't want to be comfortable. I didn't want the TV that they tried to put in there to distract you. I didn't want, that extra food. I didn't want nothing that would allow me to possess a level of comfortability because I knew I was in an environment that was not common. We were not designed to be behind a cage. We were not designed to be in a hostile environment on a day-to-day basis where chaos is bred, it's created. And so because of that, I could never get comfortable. I kept my faith that, regardless of all what's going on around me, I know God gonna take me out of this. I know He is. And so it's kind of like I had my eyes on a prize. And I kept on that no matter whatever obstacle or type of derailment that may have manifested. I didn't allow it to take a hold of me. It might have cut me a little bit, but I didn't allow it to keep me. I didn't allow it to keep His hands on me. And that's critical because you got guys down there that don't believe in nothing. They're down there just existing. And that alone leaves, they don't have no sense of direction. It's like, they don't know what direction to go to because there's nothing to look forward to. And so having a faith, I think it positions individuals to look forward to something, to be accountable to something, and it allow them an opportunity within themselves to see change and those that love them.
Thank you for that. I got Emeka saying yes, amen. Joe Momaple saying transformation. So I guess some of the questions are coming in. So Joe Mo wants to know, what would you currently tell your 16-year-old self now in terms of, just how you've seen your life with where you were 16 to where you are now? And we're going to keep it in terms of career success. We don't want to go too much on, just the whole incarceration part, but just because a lot of people don't know this, Augustine was an amazing basketball player. And it was really slated that you could have went pro. So just without
definitely had a lot of opportunities.
Absolutely. What would you tell your 16-year-old self? Emeka said, hey, by the way. Do y'all know each other?
Oh, hey. Yeah, that's my you said Emeka?
Emeka, yeah.
I had to ask that question again. Are we talking about the same person? But if I had to tell my youth, my younger self that, I would tell myself to listen. And the reason why I would say that, I come from a situation where, the individuals that I looked up to, the individuals that I fed energies off of, environment were very hostile. Uh, they didn't have peace. They didn't have a lifestyle or surroundings like myself. While I had a better opportunity because I had a bigger family. Well, when I say bigger family, I had siblings. I had a lot of siblings. You know, I had a mom that educated me, was determined to educate me, and so I had a conscience. But a lot of my peers didn't have conscience. I was their conscience, and looking back at that, it was like I navigated a lot of things in our lives without the proper knowledge, without the proper experiences, because I'm feeding off things that I'm seeing in my environment. I'm feeding off things that I'm seeing in my neighborhoods that I thought was correct. I remember a particular time, Joe Mo, now that you said that, asked me, what did I want to do with myself, and how was I going to change certain events in my life as he was developing in his career and seeing the potential in me. And I didn't have the proper mentor at the appropriate time or the moment I began to derail to put me back course of my career, on back on course on my aspirations. Because when I was young, I wanted to be an architect because I could draw very well. I could freestyle, draw anything. I had a lot of creativity that was bouncing around in my brain. And I really never had the proper opportunity to exercise that. I was amazing in math. I was an A student in math. Math was just like waking up in the morning. It was just a common affair. It was nothing difficult about it. But I didn't have the opportunity to get into things like that because when I began to get off course, I needed somebody to grab me and put me back on my career path. Somebody to be like, these are the things that you aspire to do, and these are the proper channels you need to take to obtain that. The resources was not available to me. My environment did not promote those type of resources. So for them to be available, I would either have to go outside of my environment or had an opportunity to bump into somebody, and then they exposed me to that environment. And I didn't have that. And so that I would tell myself, listen, you got people that you did encounter that tried to throw a little fat on your brain to give you an opportunity for change, but you didn't partake in it because nobody really grabbed me. It's a thing to tell a person, you need to change. It's another thing to grab a person and show them how to change. And I didn't have that. It's unfortunate, that I had to go through the obstacles that I had to go through to get where I am today. But, I don't take nothing back. I appreciate it, because it allowed me today, regardless, to be a better person. But I would say, and a father. And so I would say that would ultimately be it. During those moments of change for anybody, whether it's male or female, somebody needs to. It should be a requirement that individual be grabbed, directed, pushed, empowered, whatever you want to identify it as, so that they can stay on the course.
Oh, thank you, Augustine. That was great. I have Natasha Holland saying, "Educate us, educate us." So another question came in from Borma is that, what would you tell a person how to adjust day-to-day living when they get out to become successful in today's society? So, okay, so before you answer that question, Augustine, when you came out, were you amazed with the amount of money out there that people could make with technology now, where you didn't have to physically go into a building? You could make all this money just by sitting behind your desk on a computer.
I was, I did a substantial amount of time. So a lot of the technology or social sites that are available today for monetary gain, I don't believe they were out when I was out, or to that magnitude. The opportunity, especially for individuals like me, that's why I go back to say the drive, the determination that you possess or that you obtain when you are not being appreciated should push any individual upon their release. It should inspire any individual upon their release for success. Because at this point, though, we still have limitations that are visible in corporate America or even labor forces sometimes. There's another lane you still can take. Mm-hmm. There's always an opportunity. There's always another lane you still can take through social media, through any social net that allow you to get any type of monetary gain. So these particular resources are very much in need because there's a lot of talented guys down there, man. I mean, you'd be amazed. Like, on any level of performance, there's one guy down there that excels in it, at least one. And it's countless of guys, but there's always one guy that master of something, but his lust or his urge to commit some type of criminal act overtook that. And so individuals that have drive, that's been beat down mentally or physically or emotionally, upon release, a lot of times they take advantage of that. Myself, I took advantage of that because I'm good in building stuff and I like using my brain. I'm good with numbers. So I took advantage of that opportunity. I think that's a great outlet for a lot of people, because of the fact that question is on that application. And that question will never be taken off that application. And so social networks that allow people to make monetary gain is pivotal. I believe that.
Okay. So going back to the question Borma asked, she said, what would you tell a person on how to adjust day-to-day living when they get out to become successful in today's society?
It's a process. It's not going to come out overnight. You're going to have to put in some work. You're going to have to stay disciplined. One of our, mission statements while incarcerated was, proper preparation prevents poor performance. And that itself comes from, that comes from history, from a OG, a gangster. He put that in effect to create discipline. Larry Hoover, to be exact. A lot of viewers may know who he is. That principle right there alone creates opportunity. Upon your release, naturally, you're going to have obstacles. This is something that you should not be unaware of. These things are going to transpire. So just stay determined, whatever your lane is, whatever your field is that you are trying to participate in, you have to continue to go down that lane. Even if you get them 100 no's, you got to know that one yes is coming after that 100 no's at some point. You have to stay determined. You have to stay disciplined. Mm-hmm. There is no way to let up on that. You have to continuously be in the mindset that I have to be disciplined regardless of how things may look on the surface. And ultimately, you will get some type of results. And I got breadcrumbs at a time. Sometimes I didn't get any breadcrumbs. And I was waiting for the bread truck. It just didn't come. I had to stay on my path. And eventually, it came. So individuals that get out and are trying to seek a greater career or trying to be determined and change their lifestyle, you have to stay disciplined. And ultimately, results will follow.
So I'm going to change the tone a little bit in terms of career success. I hear that you're writing a book. Okay, so I'm compiling the letters with Augustine, guys. Okay, so and this book that Augustine has written includes the letters that he has written to me and letters that my mom has written to him. And I just, one thing that he put in here that I thought was so amazing, and I'm going to share with you guys what that is. All right, hold on. So I'm on a Mac computer, and on Mac, You can't do control. See, you got to do control command. But Augustine says something in the book that I thought was just um, wonderful, and I'm going to broadcast this out to everybody. So he is talking to my mother, and what he and Augustine, I would like for you to comment on this. And what he is saying to her is that um, the overall thing is being my mom was a little frustrated, and he was in responding to her about being frustrated in whatever she was dealing with at the time. And he said, I'm going to share something with you, mama, that this dude shared with me. He said, you being an educator know firsthand of the importance of correct information. Words of the wise. He who knows not but tries to know is a seeker, aid him. He who knows not which should be known is a wanderer, guide him. He who knows not that which he should know is a sleeper, wake him. He who knows not but fears to know is enslaved, free him. He who knows not that which should know but reject to know, pass him. He who knows not that which should be known, and teaches what he knows is a leader. Follow him. He said that is why I believe our senses must be alert so we can recognize what is before us. Augustine, I get chills when I read that. That was life changing to me, because what I look at that is a way on how you ordain your steps, right? On when you meet people, how you assess them. And I mean, the one that I thought was for me was he who knows not that which he should know is a sleeper, wake him. No, the one where we said pass him. Yeah, the one he who knows not which should be known but reject to know is dead. We pass him. I run into people like that all the time. And just by me sharing this, and by the way, guys, this book is going to be coming out in the summer of this year. So it's going to be ebook, and it's going to also be in word form. I'm going to make sure you get it. But Augustine, what were you thinking? Do you remember writing this at all?
I do. I remember. I just remember my mom going through a difficult time mentally. She was, humble enough to share some things that were on her mind via letter, and I responded. In this world, after experiencing something as hard as prison, I came to a conclusion that nothing ever surprises me no more. Like nothing that I honor would make me feel like, whoa, I never thought that would happen. Because the extremes that transpire within that reservoir are so beyond common or acceptable that nothing should surprise you. Throughout that, I just came to the conclusion that disappointment would manifest, but no level of surprise. You encounter people that wear a mask all the time. This goes back to what I was saying with individuals that need the proper mentor or individual to direct them in a proper way. Because on a day-to-day basis, you will come across something that will be the truth or be a lie. On a day-to-day basis, you will come across individuals that can help you grow by showing you things, or you're going to come across individuals that are going to show you things that are going to make you take 2 to 3 steps backwards. And I think it's important that individuals are able to identify that. You have to be able to associate what truth is from what is false. And it comes in a multitude of ways, and experience obviously is the best teacher, but that mentor also can be that good teacher. That individual that experienced that could be that good teacher. And So I just looked at it that way. There's so much that's going on. There's so many different type of individuals that you are encountering with. So you're able to get a taste, as you could say, of people and know how to deal with them accordingly.
Okay. And one more thing too that was life changing to me that you put in there as well, and I'm going to share with each one of you. You said, for instance, I believe in my heart that I will evangelize God's word to people afar off around the world, but at times I feel inadequate.
Mm-hmm.
But God informed me that He didn't call the equipped person, but He equips who He called with the ability to do His
Mm.
business. I am confident in His word
Correct.
because it would not return void. Where did
Man.
that come from?
Well, my imprisonment was a transformation, totally. Uh, the early stages, I experienced a lot of emotional breakdown because certain realities was presented to me that I was forced to deal with. So a lot of stuff that was built up in me that I had to deal with, and then, like I said, the environment itself is just so chaotic. So bad energy that meets another source of bad energy only creates a boom. It's a bang that's going to happen. Nothing good is going to come out of that. So as I began to go through all of my changes that I was forced to deal with for myself, I came to a realization that the things that I was engaging in, the things that I would allow myself to entertain, whether it be from my peers, whoever, is no longer acceptable. This is the end result. This type of environment, these type of bills that have that strictly chaos around me, and I don't want that. I have a conscience that I was given. I have a knowing that what's right from wrong. I have that. So at this point, it's time to exercise it. But while incarcerated, individual brought that to my attention. It's so easy for people to see the potential in another person versus sometimes a person to see it in themselves.
Yeah.
A guy saw the potential in me in the midst of me doing all my chaos while incarcerated. I'm operating off of emotion. So a lot of things that I was doing, he was observing, and he felt something in him. I have to believe that it was, something that came upon him to pull me to the side finally after all my chaos while incarcerated to say, you don't have to live like this. There's an opportunity for you to get a change, but you're going to have to do it, or the alternative, you're going to do every day that they gave you. And I know you don't want to do that. I can see it in you, young man. And at that moment, I began to realize for myself that I want to do something different, man. I don't really want this to be my end. And so I began to make the necessary steps, through God, clearly, to change. I began to read. I began to absorb information that was about growth and development, that was relatable to me, something that I could see in my life, whether it be my social circle, my peers, my siblings, wherever. I had to associate something that I could see that was real. I couldn't go off of something imaginary. This can happen, but I don't have that around me. So I really don't see how realistic that was. But I associated with things that began to be realistic, and I began to find results, begin to move in that direction. And it worked out.
Okay. So everybody right now, what kind of advice or questions do you want Augustine to ask? I see Emeka says she's ready to read the book. She hopes it's not too long. Come on, Emeka Walker from Tyler, Texas.
Yeah.
Jomo,
And even the book the book itself, not to cut you off, the book itself was a transformation. So as you guys, at some point when y'all begin to read it, you will see the growth and development in letters. You will see the growth and development in my choice of words. You begin to see the growth and development in my sentence structure. Things begin to change because I begin to change. The process throughout the entire book. So in the beginning of the book, you might experience the up-tempo, chaotic Gus. That's full of rage, full of anger because of the system. In the middle of the book, you might see, how Gus began to understand that system is a system. It wasn't designed for me. It wasn't put in a position to make me benefit, especially not in the state of Texas, because they are not rehabilitating anybody. It's called Texas Department of Justice, not Texas Department of Correction anymore. It's just straight. They are straight incarcerating people, making you do their time, and then they're sending you out in society to be less than. And then towards the end of the book, you'll see that I finally came up with a plan. God gave me a plan, and I realized how to execute it. So you'll see those stages that transpire throughout the duration of the book because I wrote it with time as it was going, not coming back to the time.
So Augustine, in the book, one of the lines, and this has been trademarked, just want everybody to know, it says, as Augustine was just mentioning being reborn, he has I have been reborn and renewed mentally. I don't think less of myself. I think of myself less. Boom.
Correct.
That's just
correct. And you gotta be like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just a different state of mind. You got to go into a circumstance knowing and sometimes that's not easier said than done because we go in certain circumstances just looking for a change, looking for something better. But you got to have some type of expectation. You got to have some inclination of what kind of result that you are seeking. And, I kind of looked at it like that. And I kind of, when I was under that mindset in that particular letter, if I remember correctly, I stopped blaming people. I stopped pointing the finger at that point. Just began to take my own ownership of my environment, understanding what type of environment I was in, and what I needed to do to overcome, what I needed to do to never position myself like that again. So I no longer looked at people for answers. I no longer looked at people to make my situation better. I began self at the decisions I made to make my situation worse. And then I eliminated that and began to add on things that would make my situation better.
Thank you. So Augustine, we're going towards the end of our webinar. That hour went by very, very quickly. So is there anything else? Borma says that revisiting the necessary and letting go of the unnecessary. Boom. Come on now. And Jomo said, you fed on the things that relate to your future. Yeah. Yeah. So is there anything else you want to leave the audience with, Augustine, before we begin to wrap up?
I would say that your end, as the script says, can be your beginning. Never go into a circumstance thinking that it's over. Know that you can always change the course of your life. Whether it be with you not being employed to you coming up with an idea of a great company and taking the necessary steps to creating it. Discipline produces results, period. If you stay determined, I'm a living example of it. I stayed determined. I didn't allow the system to categorize me as a failure. I didn't allow myself to just sit in that percentage, that statistic that I would be a part of their recidivism rate and come back. I did not accept that. I wasn't going to accept that. I was under the mindset that, that place is nasty. It's not meant for me. It's not designed for me. And I'm going to be successful. I'm going to put my best foot forward. I will link up with individuals that are successful so that I'm able to get the proper knowledge, the proper guidance. And you have to do that. You may have all the ideas in the world, but you need some help. You need somebody to assist you along the road, and you need to stay humble. And those are things that I had to be mindful of, and remind you, when I got released, if you only understood in its entirety, I had a lot of hardship. I had a lot of opportunities where I could have easily just like threw the towel in because I'm frustrated, I'm angry. Still, because you would think I done did all my time, I done did my bid, that should be behind me, allow me to readjust and reposition myself in society. But it's not that easy. It's going to require discipline. It's going to require an individual to stay on track of what their goals are, what their success story should be for them. And you're going to have to stay focused on that. And I did that. And it's going to come times you might be delayed with yourself, but you still got to put yourself back on course. No matter what the obstacle is, no matter what the delay is, you have to remind yourself that I'm going to stay disciplined enough to stay on course. And that is what was a success for me. I've been through enough pain. I've been through enough hardship. I've witnessed individuals that didn't care about my success. So I allowed myself to be determined enough for me through God, through his strength, to obtain that. And he allowed me to do that because I was disciplined. Tell us all the time, man, faith without works is dead. It's crazy for an individual to believe that he can come out of any type of bad situation and wait and the success will slap him in the face. You have to put your foot forward. You have to align yourself with individuals that have great intentions for you, that see the potential in you and are willing to give you some breadcrumbs so that you can have you at some point a success story, and whether it's big or small, but it's progressive. And you just need to position yourself like that. And for those individuals that might be observing a person that is going down the wrong road, or see an individual that needs some form of guidance, grab them, because it may not be too late for them. It was too late for me, but God saw fit to giving me another opportunity. And maybe we can prevent somebody from going down a road that they may can avoid. I feel like a lot of hardships that I went through, I'm gonna put this on my back. I don't want the guys that I know to have to experience anything like I did. I'll take that loss. I done did that. Now let's move forward and let's create some great careers and opportunities for individuals that need it. For individuals like myself that need that opportunity, where they don't have to wait 100 no's, when they can just come to us and we can put them in a position on a straight up yes. You are determined, you won't change, and here it is. I'm not going to continue to ridicule you and scrutinize you because of something that you have grown from. Those opportunities are in need. And, Uche is, through this program, is providing that. And I'm just thankful for that. And we should partake in it.
Yep. Thank you, Augustine. So I'm going to go on the key takeaways. Key takeaways that we've had is, one, you get a chance to live a new life every day. The only guarantee is death. We've seen that this week. There was, life-changing events that happen, and we usually say, you only have one life to live, but essentially you have multiple lives to live. But death is the only thing guaranteed. So every day that you wake up, every morning, don't be afraid to go and do something that you want to do, that is more purposeful in your life and that you're passionate about. Second thing, surround yourself around people that will support you and uplift you. I cannot tell you how many times people come into my office saying, Uche, I am upset, I'm depressed, I don't know what to do. And then when I see who you are around, I can tell you why you are the way you are. When you are trying to go and gain from your success, get people that support you and uplift you. And trust me, It's going to be hard when you start removing people from your life that are not helping you be the best that you can be, but eventually you would appreciate it as you age and get more and more knowledgeable. Hold yourself accountable and don't blame anyone else. I think Augustine said that. I love it because in his letters, you see the gradual revelation of who he is becoming. I remember getting his letters, and I told my husband, I said, Augustine is changing. This is a new Augustine, and I love it. The next thing is
Mm,
get financially literate. Have your money work for you. Right? That's one of the biggest things is that we don't understand how money works. Get your money to work for you, where
mm-hmm.
you're not having to get up every day with a 9 to 5, or you got to get 3 or 2 jobs. Figure out how to get financial literate. And there are so many programs out there, especially for people who are coming out, because I know the first thing is that you come out, and Gustin, correct me if I'm wrong, because I've never been incarcerated, and then you want a lot of access and excess, right? And then you so used to doing things for free, like you said, is that when you start getting money coming in, you may not know how to be responsible enough to manage that. So you still just working hard, grinding hard every day when you don't have to. There's a better way on how to have your money work for you. And the last thing is position yourself in an environment that would allow you to thrive. I got some just real quick. Can you just in maybe 60 seconds or 2 minutes sum up how you had to position yourself in an environment that allow you to thrive? And I'm really talking about state to state, from a state to state perspective.
Correct. So, you know, when I came to the state that I'm currently living in from Texas, I just literally, I guess consciously, I put myself around individuals that were successful, whether it been on a small level or a big level. I did not entertain anything that could have could reposition me in a bad situation. Uh, I talked to individuals that had like-minded ideas, that wanted to be successful. Period. So you just have to be conscious enough to, put yourself around people, or sometimes you have to be friendly, man. As crazy as that may sound, you got to be friendly to get friends. And people don't like to do that. Some people don't want to be friendly. They don't want to. They're content with their little circle, and they thrive on that. But you limit yourself. It's so much that people want to tap into that they don't get an opportunity to, because people, they hold on to it. They don't want to share that type of information. So for me, I just became friendly in a sense. It was something I was unfamiliar with, because it was something that I wasn't taught to engage in. I had to become friendly to get friends.
Now,
And upon that, go ahead.
okay, actually, what I was thinking about was the fact that you have to be careful where, if you ever do anything illegal, you need to understand the rules of engagement under those state laws and how they treat people
Mm-hmm.
who are incarcerated. So one of the things is Augustine
Mm-hmm.
was incarcerated in Texas, and guys, I'm going to let you email him so you can get more information, because we just don't have the time. But he realized very quickly that once he got out in that particular state, that was not going to be the state that allowed him to succeed and be the best that he needed to be in order to get where he needed to get. And he was very
Correct.
fortunate that he had family members in different states that allowed people to be able to thrive and position themselves despite what's written in their history. So I'm going to give you guys
Correct.
information on how to find Augustine. You can find Augustine on Facebook at Augustine Aghaeze, and you can also find him on IG at Texas Creation. Any questions that you have, please reach out to him. Augustine is always available, always open, because we know that in this world right now, prison reform is a big topic, but we want it to be more than just a topic. We want it to be where it's impactful. And one of the things Augustine had mentioned that he was passionate about was to really help and educate people on understanding their rights, but more importantly, helping people when they come out to understand, to change their mindset. And the last thing
Correct.
is, guys, in our offers tab, if you were to look to the side, we are giving 50% off on our career workshop. You just need to use the code THANKS, and you can purchase ticket right now. And my name is Uche Maple. I'm the founder of Aghaeze Maple Enterprises, and you can find me at ucheanyemaple.com, and also Facebook at Uche Anye Maple, and IG at umaple6. So, guys, find us, ask us any questions, and you know what? If we have enough responses, we can definitely bring Augustine back and focus on a different topic that you guys may want to revisit. Okay, Augustine, thank you so
Outstanding.
much. This was, I appreciate this. This was amazing. We went over, just to let you know, this was the one. I had more visitors today to my webinar than I've had for the last two. So great topic, and that just means that people are interested in this, and that there's a calling on your life, and I can't wait to see where you're going to be when you begin to fulfill it.
Outstanding. I just want to say in closing, Big Sis, that there is a system for everything. And until we create a system that's beneficial or entertain or engage in those systems that benefit, then there's going to be people left out. So we got to partake and participate or help build every system that's benefiting individuals to go down the proper way.